I started when I was 10 years old. And before I was 10, I kind of always had like an interest in music. I was always, I don't know if kids still do this, but I was always the kid at the end of the movie who would like run up to the screen and kind of like dance around. So I really liked dancing when I was younger, to music, and then also just kind of like tapping around on stuff. But when I was 10, I was kind of transitioning in between hobbies or activities, and my mom suggested drum lesson. So we tried it out, and sure enough, ever since it's kind of just stuck and become my thing. So that's how I got into it.
I started drumming when I was in 6th grade. I'd been taking piano lessons before that. And my older sister was taking piano lessons too. I was going to go into junior high or middle school, and I wanted to be in the band program. So initially I wanted to play tuba, but I think it was my mother ran into her cousin and her cousin's child, who was also enrolled in drum lessons at that time, and they told my mother what a great drum teacher they had. So it was pretty lackadaisical. She just said, "What do you think about drum lessons?" I said, "Oh, that sounds nice."
I like to go outside a lot. I like to ride my bike, or sometimes my longboard if the weather's a little bit nicer. Just being outside, walking around, being in nature, that's always fun. I also really enjoy visual art. So like going to like the Detroit Institute of Arts and like looking at that kind of stuff, or just checking out other kind of art stuff. So it is, I am kind of the typical artist where it's all art and nature stuff.
I first fell in love with like classic rock music when I was young, or 11 or 12 years old or so, and then my tastes changed over time, and I fell in love with jazz music. I went through a huge R&B, neo-soul type phase. I fell in love with all kinds of classical music when I was in college, and modern chamber music was fairly avant-garde, especially to someone who's uninitiated in that field. And so the current players I really look up to are probably Gavin Harrison is a wonderful drummer, Larnell Lewis, and Nate Smith. So I think those are probably my three.
When I got into it, I didn't really know too much about music. I wasn't like really listening to a lot of different bands. So probably my first teacher, whose name is Marcus Bears, he was definitely one of my biggest influences at first. I just thought it was so cool, like what he was doing, that he was like teaching in a music store and then like going out and playing gigs. And then as I got into music a little bit more and I started checking out more bands, then it was just drummers in different groups that I heard. So I know, for example, like when I was younger, I was a huge fan of Mitch Mitchell, who's the drummer for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Also, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. I used to be a huge Metallica fan, so I still like Metallica. But Lars Ulrich from that group too, I used to really like him.
So my degree was in more classical field, but I've been playing a lot more drum set than some of my colleagues since graduating from college. So I've kind of made a transition into that area. So was playing mostly jazz before the pandemic, as well as the occasional sort of gospel church gig, or the occasional sort of classical chamber music type concert.
Mostly jazz stuff, and that's what I went to school for. I went to Wayne State. So a lot of the times I'm doing kind of like background jazz gigs. And don't get me wrong, there's also like performance-focused jazz things as well. But the majority of them are kind of like playing in a restaurant or in a bar, or like at a wedding or something, and kind of doing some light jazz behind that. But I do play a little bit of everything. So I play some rock gigs. I play a lot of different like worship music. So like for church services. I used to do a lot of musical theater stuff. That's kind of slowed down recently. And I'm trying to think, and even a little bit of metal every now and then. So yeah, just a little bit of everything. It's fun. It keeps it interesting that way.
All of me, why not take all of me? Baby, can't you see? I'm no good without you.